Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Kurt. Welcome back to Far Lands or Bust. I nearly forgot my whole sequence of introduction there, but yeah, welcome back to Far Lands or Bust. We are on episode 476. 476 of Far Lands or Bust. Exiting the previous episode's Hidey-Hole. Protecting the entrance from sheep. And grabbing Wolfie and continuing west towards those far lands with increased jitter and points that have been floated and skeletons that have been burned. And continuing on. Yeah, it is, what is today? Today is Wednesday, April 29th, 2015. And we are continuing to raise money for Child's Play charity at farlandsorbust.com. Up to $36,829.73. That is 73% of the way to our $50,000 goal. And I know it's been some time as we've been raising this money for Child's Play charity, but even overall, $36,829 is a lot of money going to Child's Play charity, helping get a lot of toys, books, games to hospitals for kids around the world, and I think it's a great thing indeed that we're doing here, and doing it whilst perhaps undertaking the most tedious journey in Minecraft, just going towards the far lands. Oh gosh, I'm gonna sneeze. I'm holding it back. Hold it back for you guys. I don't have a mute button on my microphone. Ooh, that was disgusting. I apologize for the sniffle. On-air sniffle. But, yeah, as you could tell, if you could tell. Oh, God, aha! I hate it! I hate it with such passion. The cold, the great cold of 2015 still grips me. And it's thoroughly annoying. I thought I was doing much better, and then last night I barely got any sleep because I was just coughing and coughing and coughing, and it's annoying, and it hurts. It hurts my spine and my abdomens. There's your six-pack, your six-pack abs tip. You won't believe, personal trainers hate him. You won't believe these tips to six-pack abs. Just get a very violent cold and cough your lungs out, and then you'll have all the room in the world in your abdomen for six-pack abs. That, my friends, is the secret. Oh, man. But yeah, that's thoroughly annoying. Going to some crazy dark and depressed places. I'm like, God, I just want to get rid of this stupid cold and get on with my life. Staying up all night, coughing, for no reason whatsoever, just coughing. Dang it. But anyway, the happy things, happy tidings will be had as we continue westward here to the far lands. And we're actually going to start with a few depressing space news items. The Messenger spacecraft today, if you were unaware, there has been a spacecraft orbiting the planet Mercury for the past 4 years, studying it, taking pictures of it. The first spacecraft to specifically orbit Mercury. There have been flybys and brief studies of Mercury in the past, but this is the first spacecraft to actually park in orbit and give us a proper mapping of the planet's surface. Messenger is actually due to end its mission today by impacting the surface. It's planned. It has run out of propellant and fuel. It's obviously has solar power and whatnot, but its actual fuel to keep it aloft and its course corrections has run out, so that means that's the end of the mission, and it is due to, I'm not sure if it's happened yet or not, but it's due to impact the surface today, April 29th, 2015. It was launched in August 2004 and entered orbit around Mercury in March 2011. I think it's hard to get to Mars and Jupiter or get to Mercury. We found that out in Kerbal Space Program. Getting to Moho, is it Moho is the innermost planet? Or even just trying to get to the sun takes a lot more power than one would imagine. You have to, instead of launching yourself out to the outer solar system, you have to reduce your periapsis and your apoapsis, and that takes a lot of push to get that done. So Messenger in and of itself is going to come to an end today. And kind of an interesting thing, it's going to be taking pictures and transmitting for as long as it can. But when it does impact, it's actually, what it does is takes pictures, holds those pictures in memory, and then transmits them back to Earth. It holds a lot of pictures in memory. They say it's going to crash into the surface of Mercury with about 1,000 pictures that will never be transmitted. Simply because, NASA's thinking is it's better to collect data that you can't, more data than you can transmit than to not collect the data at all. So that's kind of a very poignant thought about space flight and space exploration, is that there will be data that will literally be going down with the ship there. So, hooray to the Messenger spacecraft for doing the science it did, learning more about that innermost planet in our solar system. Other things, this one a little bit less planned, is that there has been an issue. The Russian Progress resupply ship launched 2 days ago or yesterday. It launched yesterday. The Progress is an unmanned. It's very similar to a Soyuz, except it's unmanned and it's simply for resupply. A lot like the current SpaceX, the Dragon capsule is unmanned, and right now they're just using it for resupply. Science equipment, food, water, oxygen, that sort of stuff. The same thing as a Progress, as a resupply ship. Launch appeared to went fine, but then they lost tracking, and I believe what happened is 3 of the 4 radio antennas failed to deploy and function. They lost all control and tracking of this unmanned resupply ship, and it showed that it was tumbling out of control. And there's actually some very interesting footage from on board. They somehow were able to retrieve onboard footage from an external camera, and indeed it's tumbling out of control. You see the sun and Earth and stuff rotating around at rather rapid pace, and they've attempted to and have failed to regain control of the spacecraft, and essentially they've given up, and it is simply going to, since it never did do its course corrections or not gravity boost, but apoapsis, periapsis, orbital boost to the International Space Station. It is at an altitude where it is eventually going to re-enter within the next week. Since they have no control over it, there's no knowing when or where it will come down. So that will be something that they'll be keeping an eye on. So that's unfortunate. The astronauts aboard the International Space Station are in no danger, even if the next resupply, the SpaceX, the next Dragon resupply craft doesn't make it, that they still have plenty of food and water and consumables to be safe. So they are well ahead of the game there. So it's not it's a crappy thing to have lost all these resources and have a failed mission like this, but overall the astronauts will be okay. But there's some different space news indeed. And we're going to continue on to the far lands here, and I'll actually start answering some questions from Child's Play charity fundraiser donors when the sun rises again. Let's just make a little bit more progress into this snowy land where we have some strange floating, levitating blocks of dirtiness, dirty dirt. Dirty Dirt with Kurt. Curtis E. Bear. Simpsons reference. The Scorpio episode of The Simpsons was on the other day. Probably my favorite episode. And I actually, for the first time, listened to the end credits theme, and it's hilarious. They did a James Bond kind of end credits And it's talking about Scorpio will diversify your portfolio and make sure you're well invested. It was all he's a supervillain, but he cares about his employees, and oh, that's pretty funny. But yeah, that just reminded me Simpsons reference. It's still a shocking thing when I make Simpsons references, and they go on deaf ears for some of my audience here. But that's all right. I'll forgive you momentarily. So yeah, let's make the elevated hidey-hole of the day. I'm gonna have to pause it because I'm gonna have to pause really quick because I gotta blow my nose. I don't want to be sneezing. There's gotta be some sort of macro I can set up on my keyboard or something to mute the mic. Is that not a thing I could possibly do? There's gotta be. Of course, it probably isn't. It's probably a function that is beyond the capabilities of a computer, but one would hope so. I'll have to look that up. But yeah, let's go to sleep. I'm going to go blow my nose, and then we'll continue in the morning. And blow a noseness. I should have done that. I should have blown my nose before I did the snoring thing, because that really was gross. Ugh. It's like inhaled a bunch of snot. Ugh, gross, Kurt, gross. This is inappropriate for a Firelands or Bust episode to be talking about nose problems. Well, we'll leave it at that. But let's actually get to, now that my airways are clear, let us get to some questions from donors to Child's Play Charity. Stomp is very concerned about this illness that I have, and they wonder, who would you like to blame for this infection? Please be as vindictive as necessary. I have pretty much narrowed it down. We found patient 0. We did have some visitors, out-of-town visitors, a couple of weeks ago, and they were previously ill, and we think that is how the virus was entered into our little ecosystem here. So pretty sure about that. But it does seem like it's like a very similar thing that's going around. It was kind of funny. A lot of the fellow YouTubers and Mindcrackers were getting sick about the same time. I think MC Gamer was like, "Uh-oh, he feels a sore throat coming on," and I'm like, "Uh-oh, it's spreading. We need to get one of those, in all these doomsday or zombie outbreak or Ebola type movies. They always have the government kind of task force room, and they have up on the big screen a picture of the United States or of the world, and they show the global spread and little red markings of how the virus will spread and consume the entire planet in 48 hours. Like, we need that, but with like Mindcrackers on the map, because we're dropping like flies. So yeah, it is kind of strange that that happens. I wish it was just a full-blown cold, like with stuffy nose and just for a couple days that I could just get rid of, and then I would know when it ends. This little twiddly bowl that I'm having to deal with, that there's no defined border as to when it begins or when it ends. And I'm like, oh, I feel great. Okay, I'm going to go to bed, and I'll sleep very well. And then I wake up coughing the entire night. It's no bueno, I say. I do not like such things as these. Get your viruses in order there, planet Earth. What's wrong with you? I need some sort of I need to know what's up. What's up? What's going on? What's going down? When this thing is going to be done with. Huh. Oh, man. But yes, I do appreciate Stomp, the donation, and your concern over the nature of the spread of this disease, this infection, this parasite. It's not a parasite, really, I guess. But yeah, we have another question from Yaweasel. Yaweasel. If you could rename the planets, whether in our solar system or exoplanets, how would you rename them? And how much do you think how things are named affect public perception of space science? I have no idea what I would rename them. I literally have never thought of that in my entire life, so I really could not, just like you can't. Well, this is a pencil, but if you could think of another word for a pencil, what would it be? Well, you can't. It's a pencil. Unless you're thinking in different languages, you can't think of a different name for a pencil because it's a pencil. So I can't think of a different name for Mars or Mercury or whatever. That is what they are for me, and that's the way it is. But certainly, you might be alluding to the whole Pluto thing. A lot of the theory as to people's attachment to Pluto is that they associate it with the Disney character Pluto, as opposed to the actual mythic Greek god or demigod, or I'm not sure what specifically Pluto's about, but isn't it the god of like the sea, the underworld, the depths of something? But yeah, they associate it with that, so therefore that is the public outcry about Pluto is kind of more attached to the dog than it is the planet. So there is perhaps that attachment to it. I mean, originally Mars was called Mars because it was red and it was the god of war and anger and whatnot, as opposed to Venus. It was named Venus because it was kind of this bright, shining morning star or evening star in the night sky back in the day, and it was thought to be brightness and light and life and blah blah blah. But it turns out to be quite the opposite. Mars is quite desolate and cold and barren of everything, heat and life, as far as we know it, as opposed to Venus is the hellish landscape that you would more so associate with a god of war and pressure and heat and melting stuff, liquid hot magma and whatnot. So yeah, I'm sure there's the perceptions there, and it really, I guess, the way astronomy works is it tends to be one of the sciences that kind of says how things are. It's the rings of Saturn. What are they? They're actual rings around Saturn. It's the Horsehead Nebula. It looks like a horse's head. So I don't know that, as opposed to your chemists or your biologists come up with all these very complicated Latin names for the different genus and species of the different animals and stuff that you'll never remember, as opposed to flying animal with a beak is something probably how we would describe birds as an astronomer. But yeah, I don't think about it too much, I suppose. I don't think about it too much at all. From Farseer, he sees far, so he's Farseer. Have you ever seen a shuttle landing? I saw the first one at Edwards Air Force Base. You lucky dog. No, I have not. I have never seen... Well, I have seen a space shuttle launch, although from a few hundred miles away on the opposite side of Florida at midnight I mentioned that. But no, I've never seen a shuttle landing. Even more of a rare thing to see would be a shuttle landing, particularly because they're not really open to the public. I mean, I guess they were, and people would go out and they'd hear the double sonic booms and whatnot. I was invited because I was on the wait list for the final space shuttle launch, STS-135. But as a consolation prize, they invited at the last minute, like literally days before, a few of us. Oh, you can attend the landing, which I mentioned. I'm always back and forth about that. And I recently on Netflix there is a documentary called Discovery's Last Flight, and it's about the not dismantling, but the decommissioning of the space shuttles and the specifically Discovery when it was flown atop the 747 ferry flight to D.C. for the Smithsonian. I watched that a couple days ago whilst I was sick. I had plenty of time to catch up on my Netflix. And seeing that, and they had a few images and instances of the final landing of the space shuttle. Atlantis was actually the last shuttle to land, the last shuttle that had a mission. And I always like, oh, that would have been like that's a historical moment that I could have seen, but having just gotten the invite like literally 2 days before the actual shuttle landing, could you imagine buying a flight from Chicago down to Florida at that cost and having to find a hotel? And really, it was in the middle of the night, and there was no guarantee. Oftentimes, if they're waved off from landing in Florida, they'll land in California. So there was no guarantee that the thing would have landed at that time anyway. Just like a launch, there's no guarantee that a launch will happen. But yeah, it was the middle of the night. You really couldn't see anything. There's a few videos I have seen of the people who did attend, and you can just barely see the shuttle, and you can kind of hear the shuttle a little bit in the distance. But kind of the final wheel stop of Space Shuttle on a mission would have been an amazing thing to attend, but really I don't know that the landings would have been wouldn't have been worth the perhaps well into 4 figures spending just to see that myself. So yeah, no, never saw a shuttle landing either, I'm afraid. But I did go to that SpaceX NASA social, even though I didn't get a launch. Did get to go into the orbiter processing facility and stand underneath Space Shuttle Atlantis, which was incredibly amazing. I don't think many people beyond the employees of Kennedy Space Center, definitely not the public, ever had such a chance as that. So that was cool. That was cool. I'll say I traded one thing for the other there. I also saw Discovery in the VAB when she was being prepared. That was during the Juno NASA tweet up. Discovery was right there, which was also pretty cool. But yeah, let's make another elevated Hidey-Hole here. And speaking of which, the next question will deal directly with the elevated Hidey-Hole itself. So let's do that. Oop. And continue in the morning. And awakeness. And ow! What? Why does that happen? That was water. I was carrying too much velocity. I dove when I should not have dove. But yeah, we got a question from. Hold on, I'm making some boats. Question from Jelly Donut Dog 2451. No, Wolfie, don't push the boat that way. Did you come up with the design for the elevated Hidey-Hole yourself, or did you learn it from someone else? I learned it from someone else. I believe, actually, Ant Venom. I think I keep checking. I still do have the Diamond Sword of Spontinoise. What? Oh my god. This sickness is ravaging my brain. The Diamond Sword of Spawn Pointiness. I'm just carrying around this iron one so it doesn't break. I think it was Ant Venom. I can't remember where I saw him use it. But I do remember in context he said, oh, this would be a good Hidey-Hole for Kurt to use on the journey because it does act as a spawn. And then after that I actually did test it in a different testing world to make sure that acts as a spawn, because you are 3 blocks, technically your bed is 3 blocks off the ground. You do have that one solid block to spawn on, and there's no way that there could be a disturbance to your slumber, because you're not violating that rule that if a mob could spawn, it will spawn. That is in this version of the game. In current versions of the game, if there is a mob nearby, you cannot sleep. There's a mob nearby or monsters nearby. This way, if there could be a monster, there will be a monster nearby. So yeah, I think it was Ant Venom who I got that from. I believe so. Jelly Donut Dog 2451 continues with, do you remember your first computer? Mine was an Apple II from 1978. My family's first computer we had an Apple IIc Plus. It must have been the late 80s, because I was old enough to remember it. Probably 87, 88, might have been 90, might have been 1990, I don't remember. But yeah, we got the Apple IIc Plus. We had a dot matrix printer with it. and it was one of those where the actual the computer was built. You know, the keyboard was part of the computer. It was all one unit, and there was a separate monitor, a color monitor. It's not one of those green and white ones, but a color monitor. Had things like played Rampage. Remember Rampage? Carmen Sandiego on there as well. Weird different kind of print shop things, and we had a big in the computer. It had the standard hard floppy disk, the 2.5 inch. Is that what they were? Floppy disk. But then we had the bigger as a separate thing, the 4.5 inch floppy disk thing where ka-chung, it goes in, and you gotta really like close like a fireproof safe almost on the floppy disk. So I remember that. And Lemonade Stand was another game on that thing. Not much in the way of productivity, I don't believe. I'm sure. I think I wrote some papers in the day. That was still back in the day when, if a lot of people didn't have computers, so you wrote your school papers by hand, and handed them in with just drawn out. That was still an option. Such an old individual I am. Such an old individual indeed. I couldn't even imagine now going to school with what the internet is about, and even cell phones being computers. I can't. It's like it's a whole new game. And speaking of whole new games, here's a whole new spawner that we've just found. Have a seat, Wolfie. We're going to investigate such a thing as this. This one's kind of deep. This is a skeleton spawner, a little bit dangerous. What do we got down there? I don't know. I cannot touch it. A couple saddles. I'll take an iron ingot. Got plenty of buckets. And more iron. Thank you very much. I'll take some wheat there, I guess, too. We can... Ooh, I can make a piece of TNT. TNT time. Just for funsies. For funsies! I will explode this cold away with great explosions. So yeah, that was the first computer I remember having. It was the family computer, but that was that, I think. An anonymous donor asks, have you ever been to New Zealand? Nope. I have not. It seems like a cool place to go, and Australia in general. Whatnot for the kind of the natural. That's kind of what I'm more interested in. Same thing. I'd really have no desire. I've mentioned this before, and then people remind me about the natural kind of wonders and parks and things that are in Europe, but I have no desire to really visit Europe at all, except for maybe Iceland. Is kind of one of those natural places. It's like the United States has like the Grand Canyon and Yellowstone, and those are the places I want to visit. I don't want to visit like people visit New York to visit New York. I'm like, no, not really. I'm not one of those people to visit a place for the city. I cannot traverse steps what with the 2-pixel offset here. I'm very disoriented. But no, never been to New Zealand, never been to the Southern Hemisphere. And they continue to ask, if so, what did you enjoy? I have not been to New Zealand. I'm assuming you, person, are from New Zealand, anonymous donor. I appreciate the donation from all the way over there. Have you ever had a go at racing at a track day? I don't know. No, I have not, to answer the question, but I don't know. It's not really a big thing here in the United States. We're a bit of safety sticklers here. And a lot of racetracks don't have track days. There might be some privately owned things, or even, I know that there are probably clubs, exotic car clubs or whatever, that have their own tracks that they might have a track day on. But, otherwise it's pretty limited to either like driving schools, performance driving schools, that cost quite a pretty penny. Or things like that, where you can actually get on track and do some actual track driving, which is a bit unfortunate. But no, I've never done any sort of track day type of thing. I am afraid. It is, I am reserved, I am confined, let's use the word confined, to doing such things and having such experiences through the power and magic of video games, of driving simulators, like your Assetto courses, and other such things as these. Spooner79, that was a long S, Spooner79 asks, are you excited for Star Wars? Episode 7, I think is what the next one is called. I saw the trailer. I'm excited. I was really into Star Wars for a while. My fandom has somewhat subsided since the kind of was high school times is when I was kind of really excited. The prequels are what brought about my excitement, and then later my disappointment. It seems interesting. It seems like they're trying to do a good job in keeping with the original, the trilogy, kind of doing that a little bit of honor and whatnot. So yeah, that seems like it'll be cool. This is something interesting. I found myself not getting too attached to what's the word I'm looking for? Too attached to any sort of specific brand or entertainment. I'm not. I don't want to have to. I've been disappointed in the past, is what I'm saying. Even with video games, like with your Tomb Raiders or any sort of racing series, I try not to get too emotionally attached to something. It's a little bit more even for fiscal responsibility, not to, I gotta pre-order this game, and then it turns out to be a disappointment, and you put all this money into this, that, or the lava. And so I find myself having reserved judgment on things until I see them. But yeah, it seems like it could be good. So yeah. Maybe probably not excitement, but interest. Very keen interest, I suppose I could say I have in the next Star Wars. I almost said video game, but Star Wars movie. There's also like some Battlefront game or something come out that people are kind of like, well, there's a trailer, but it really doesn't show any gameplay, so it's kind of so that's how I feel about that stuff. But yeah, kind of vague interest, vaguely interested. Indeed. Ooh, this seems like it could be fun. Ooh, that was fun. It was the gift that kept on giving. Let's make a hidey-hole for the end of this episode, and let's do it with the power of explosives. I'm going to go in here. I'm going to have Wolfie, first of all, break an ankle probably coming down here. Oh, have a seat. Oh, in the water. Nope, how about right there is a little bit dangerous. What I'm gonna do is push you out of the way. Oh god. Oh, okay, he stood up. Alright. Come over here. Yep, no, over here. Over here, you goob. Alright, we're running out of time. We're running out of sunlight. Let's... Quickly now. Let's make some TNT. Whoop, those are arrows. Let's do that. Very nice. Let's keep that off of our bar. And then let's... Oh, this might not work as well as I hope it will. Let's just dig in a bit. A little bit more. There we go. This looks like a good spot. Alright, and let's place the TNT in there. And then light it ablaze. And then whatever this carves out is where we will live. Is going to be our hidey-hole. Oh, is that not going to work? Oh, it worked. Gotta go! Kaboom! Awesome. All right. It's the Express Hidey-Hole creation here in episode 476 of Far Lands of Buzz. Whoa! There's one heck of a hidey-hole. Excuse me. Dang. That worked out well. I should do that more often. I'm going to need some more lights to light this place up. But yeah, neat. That was fun. All right, Wolfie, you're kind of far away. We might miss your bark at the beginning of the next episode, but yikes. I could probably actually have him come in here if I can do this really quick. Wolfie. Come on, Wolfie. Stand up, Wolfie. Come on in. We got some luxury apartments. There we go. Come on. Have a seat. Well done. All right. That worked out pretty well. Oh, man. I'm going to have you move a little bit to the corner over there. Very good. Very good. And we're going to have to make... That's a first. That's a first for you. I think this show's going to get stale or stagnant or run out of ideas. Take that for an idea. Do I have my workbench? I don't think I picked up the workbench. Dang it! Did I throw it? No, I didn't. All right, let's go pick up the workbench and hopefully not... Oh, there it is, I think. I think I picked it up. Whoa, I heard... Oh, yeah, there's a zombie coming. Ha ha ha! You're locked out. Yeah, and I did pick up my workbench. All right. So, we've got all these crazy cubbies and stuff that we can put stuff in. Oh, just enough wood for this to work out for us. But yeah, I do appreciate watching and dealing with what is probably still a stuffy-sounding voice here for this episode of Far Lands or Bust. Wow, TNT was strong. I don't remember TNT being this strong in the current versions of the game. Like, blew out a huge space. There's a lot of dirt, but the power of science, Wolfie. The power of science and explosives. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. farlandsorbust.com to continue donating to Child's Play charity. Once we raise $50,000, we'll press F3 to find out how far we've walked this season towards the Farlands, and of course how far we have to go to reach 12,500,000 some odd blocks to reach the Farlands. Like I said, farlandsorbust.com, childsplaycharity.org. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Kurt. I will see you next time. Oh god, I still... Aha!